forget to like and subscribe.
And hit the notification bell
so we can go to college and get more knowledge.
The book was considered science fiction. All those technologies have become reality. And
our science work is focused on curing, preventing, or managing all disease. That's what drove us to start the San Francisco Biohub. Now, we're launching a second Biohub to build new tools to transform what we know about human biology.
Yeah, and this Chicago Biohub is going to build miniaturized sensors to understand how cells work together and interact within tissues. We're then going to apply these technologies to measure and understand inflammation in living human tissues.
Welcome back in the place to be. Did you hear that? That's right. They're plugging your ass up to the machine and pumping energy to your muscles to see what happens. History repeats itself again. This is crazy. Enough of these billionaires thinking that they're doctors now. They opened a biohub. Now Zuckerbot is a doctor too. If you look at the history of science, most big advances are preceded by new tools to observe things. Said Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO formerly known as Human. We now know for sure that the train has left the station in regards to the fourth industrial revolution. Klaus Schwab was very candid when he said 90% of the new technologies would be implemented by 2025.
Because that was a big part in our overall health. About 50% of all deaths can be attributed to inflammation-related diseases, including cancer, heart disease, and dementia. So making progress here is pretty critical.
And I think one of the things that is really cool is that if we can instrument these tissues and figure out when things go wrong early, we can do something about it early.
And at the end of the day, the breakthroughs from these biohubs are going to help bring scientists closer to this goal of eradicating all diseases.
Our science work
Anyone who's watched my channel for any amount of time knows that I talk a lot about this book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution by Klaus Schwab. I think this is one of the most informational books that anyone can read when researching the Fourth Industrial Revolution and what's coming in the future for all of humanity. In this book, he argues that this revolution is different in scale, scope, and complexity from any that have come before, characterized by a new range of technologies that are fusing the physical and digital and biological worlds. The developments are affecting all disciplines, economies, industries, and governments, and even challenging ideas about what it means to be human. In this book, it says that all of these radical changes will be accomplished by 2025. Now, I want you to think about that. I made a video about the Fourth Industrial Revolution not long ago that talked about neurotechnology, and it was blocked because of the companies that were creating this technology. Every time I make a video about them, they block it. So this time I'm being very careful in how I craft this video. So keep that in mind. Now remember that I told you that Klaus Schwab said that all of these radical changes will be happening and in effect and reach the tipping point by 2025. Don't believe me? Just read the book. Okay, now with that in mind, look at this. DARPA Human Telepathy Project will let people transmit images into other people's brains. Now, the important part to notice about this is that it's September 2019. Now, if you just come down here a little bit, this is what it says. We have to decode neural activity in one person's visual cortex and recreate it into another person's mind in less than 1/20th of a second. The technology to do that without surgery doesn't yet exist. That's what we'll be creating. Why is the date relevant of September 2019? Here's why. In 4 years, to the math, that's this year. In 4 years, we hope to demonstrate direct brain-to-brain communication at the speed of thought and without brain surgery, says Rice Jacob Robinson. In 4 years, it's fitting Klaus's timeline, that's for sure. Now, here's another link. DARPA's neurotech research resonates with Tesla's acoustic mind control, May 2019. This goes on to talk about Tesla's ideas on telepathic soldiers, and according to DARPA, these interfaces could ultimately enable diverse national security applications such as control of active cyber defense systems and swarms of unmanned aerial vehicles, or teaming with computer systems to multitask during complex missions. The individual devices can also be confined to provide the ability to interface to multiple points in the brain at once. DARPA wants soldiers to use BCIs to augment their own abilities, essentially communicating telepathically with machines through various frequencies, including sound waves which convert to electrical signals.
The third transformation which we have to face is what you just mentioned, Minister. I wrote in 2015 the book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, and I mentioned 23 or 24 technologies which will change the world, like crypto and so on and so on. The book was considered science fiction. All those technologies have become reality, and there are new technologies. And I would say we are in the second minute, or whatever we want to call. We are at the beginning. When you look at it, at technology transformation, it usually takes place in the terms of an S-curve. And we are just now where we move into the exponential phase. And I agree, artificial intelligence, but not only artificial intelligence, but also the metaverse, near space technologies, and I could go on, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, very much affected, and who masters those technologies in some way will be the master of the world. Now, what does it mean for governments and for government officials? 4 things. First, since we speak about the transformation process, we have to be ambitious in our thinking. How do we want to come out at the end of this transformation process? And we have to see the opportunities, because we, through joint efforts, we could really make this world a better place by using the capabilities we have. So ambition is very important. Believing into the positive force of those transformational changes. The second advice is to have the speed. You cannot catch up with the new technologies. You have to be a front runner, because otherwise you will be on the losing outside. Adaptability is the next factor. And adaptability requires permanent upskilling and reskilling. And the last factor I want to mention is resilience, the capability to bounce back, because there will be certainly what we call the black swans, the unpleasant surprises which will come in our way. So, Minister, dear participants, I wish you a very good meeting. And just as a last point, I want to say the most important factor to master the future is leadership.
You invented and you wrote, the Fourth Industrial Revolution. What is next? What is next after the Fourth Industrial Revolution? Where your mind take you?
I think the fourth revolution, industrial revolution, will be in our mind for quite some years to come. But what is very essential, my concern, my deep concern, is that those technologies, if we do not work together on a global scale, if we do not formulate, shape together the necessary policies, they will escape our power to master those technologies. Because artificial intelligence, it's relatively easy, let's say, to understand how a computer functions. Of course, if I go back to the first industrial revolution, how a steam engine functions. But how does really quantum computing function? How does artificial intelligence, particularly if it's self-replicating, functions? So one of my concerns is how to shape the necessary policies to make sure that those technologies serve humankind. But the second concern which I have, and where governments have an important role, the change goes so fast in our world, and will go even faster. How can we make sure that the individual, each citizen, doesn't feel overwhelmed by change because he cannot understand really what's going on? And if we do not understand, we become fearful and we react negatively. And we see the first consequences already in many countries with polarization of the public opinion. It has to do with some feeling that we lose control over our own fate. And here I think governments have an important role to explain and to have the ambition and the vision to show that those technologies can serve for the good and are not per se evil.